Welcome to the Bittersweet and Twisted Records podcast with Vince and Bobbie. I'm Vince.
I'm Bobbie.
And this is the first episode and our first attempt at trying anything like this.
So welcome.
Welcome?
Welcome.
Welcome, yeah. Oh, goodness. Hope it doesn't suck. We've been trying to do this for quite a while, but we finally got to it.
Well, yeah, I finally got motivated.
Yeah. Well, when we first came up with the idea, you came up with the idea.
I did?
Yeah, you
I don't
did.
remember that.
You did. You were like, let's do a podcast. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So we were like, all right, we'll do a podcast. And then we were trying to think of what we do it about. And then we're like, well, we'll do it on music.
Obviously.
And, well, obviously to us.
Yes.
And then like, all right, we need a name. And then we had one name we wanted to use.
And that was taken.
That was taken by a podcast in France, which I haven't listened to. I assume it's in French, but...
We don't want to upset the French.
Yeah. I didn't want to listen to someone who took the name I wanted. Of course, they've probably been doing it for years. So it took us a while to come up with a name that we liked. And we had quite a few. And then we finally settled on Bittersweet and Twisted.
I'm trying to think of the ones that I don't even remember some of the names.
One of them, I can't remember. You were like Polyvinyl something.
Oh, yes.
Which is a record label.
Right, yeah.
I had the Record Molester.
That's a good one.
But I don't think people would think it was that good. I thought it was great.
I think it's great, too. But unfortunately, not anymore. People it's way too sensitive.
So finally I hit on Bittersweet and Twisted because that was the name of the second Choir Boys album. And Bobbie liked it too.
I just thought it went with our personalities.
Yeah. And I had a really great logo.
It is a really great logo.
Yeah,
you have to check it out.
Look at our social media accounts. It's on there, and it's on our merch. But I'll pour all that stuff out later. So we got the name. Decided to finally do this, and we're going to talk about music. So it's like, well, what's the music angle? And so we're thinking about that for a while, and then it occurred to me that we should do podcasts about records we find in the bargain bins, because we scour the bargain bins at record stores or wherever we go.
And we're cheap.
I mean, it's only recently that I started paying more for records, because I'm notoriously cheap when it comes to them.
Hey, I just realized, because today is Record Store Day, and we're starting our podcast.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Oh, wow. And we did buy Record Store Day titles today. I know some people were like, ew, don't support Record Store Day, blah, blah, blah. But
and those were definitely not out of the bargain bin.
No, we got the Sisters of Mercy, the BBC sessions, and Skeletal Families, the Singles Collection, whatever it was called. It might have just been called Singles Collection.
And then the Crow Mags for myself and the Gun Club.
Yep. And there was other stuff we wanted, like...
and I didn't even have to get out of bed.
You did not. I went and did it. I mean, there was the King's X records I wanted, but I'm not going to prattle on about that. So we had our idea we'll do records out of the bargain bin. So the theme of this podcast, at least this episode, probably every episode, is going to be treasures from the bargain bin. And the bargain bin is nothing over $3. So that's a rule. I mean, some bargain bins are $5 bargain bins, but the cheaper the better for me. I mean, a lot of people are really anal about the conditions of the records. I'm not. When
as long as they play, and they don't smell horrendous.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like one episode we will not be doing will be my Kiss Lick It Up, first pressing I got out of a bargain bin.
No.
It smells so bad.
So bad.
I mean, I've got some of the stank off of it, but
You can't remove all stank.
You can't get all stank because it gets in the cardboard. And it's a shame, though.
So take care of your records, people.
Don't put them in the basement.
Please.
Don't put them in the basement. Because that's where all the stank is. And so we're going to do Treasures from the Bargain Bin. So I have a record that I'll talk about.
And I have a record that I have picked that I will talk about.
Some of these will be, sometimes they'll be an obscure record or a very popular record.
Yes.
We won't be playing music from any of the records on the podcasts. For two reasons. Because the podcast will be on different platforms. One of them will be YouTube, and I don't really want record labels to monetize our videos.
No.
Another reason is I haven't paid for a sync license for music rights.
That is true.
So
have we mentioned we're cheap?
We're cheap. This is very DIY. I was talking to a friend of mine the other week. Because he's known for. I told him a while ago we were going to do the podcast, and he was like, "Oh, what equipment did you get?" I was like, "A laptop and a microphone." I was like, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's good to start small and build up." I'm like, "Yeah, start small."
Yes.
Start small, start cheap, whichever.
No, but of course it could grow if we have lots of listeners. So tell all your friends.
So yeah. So if you like this babbling, make sure you like us, subscribe, follow, whatever it is you do on whichever platform you're listening to this, the show support.
And share.
And the more you support us, the more often we'll do these.
Yes.
We'd like to do more, so hopefully some people listen. And so it's encouragement to do more. Because I don't want to keep doing these if I only have like 5 listeners.
And we're 2 of those people.
Yeah, so it's only down to 3. It was like the time I'd made like 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. I'd made a documentary about the UK goth post-punk band Sex Gang Children, and we were in the Independent Philadelphia Film Festival. And the screening, it had one screening, and there was literally 3 other people in it, and it was such a morale killer.
Oh, just 3 other people in the theater.
3 other people at the screening for it. So maybe that was disappointing. And the next screening it had was at the Film Fringe Wilmington Festival. And I think it was maybe 8 people at that one.
There you go. See? Look, it increased.
Yeah. So I would like to do better numbers with the podcast than we did with the documentary.
I would too.
So yeah. But we like music.
We do, and we like to talk.
Yeah, even though I feel like there's a big dead spot coming up because I'm running out of stuff to say.
Well, we haven't got to what we're doing yet, what we're going to talk about today. So
okay,
that's good.
Yeah. So my treasure from the bargain bin is Frankie Miller's Double Trouble from 1978. And Bobbie's doing
Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell from 1977.
So, they're super current records.
I just like to say how close, the Meatloaf one specifically is the year I was born. And the Frankie Miller one is a few years after you were born. So,
yeah, so it has...
so they're very current.
Yeah, so current. But yeah, I was... familiar with Frankie Miller, and then one day I saw this in the Dollar Band. My record was her record was $1 too, and so I got it. I was listening to it. I was like, "This is a really good record. This guy should have had a lot more success." And then when I got yours,
I actually did not find it on my own.
Yeah, so I actually found your treasure, and the one you're talking about was the Canadian pressing.
Yes.
But it's no different than the U.S. one,
right.
As far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, so I think it's time to get into all the babble about Treasure from the Bargain Bin #1, Frankie Miller, Double Trouble.
Do like a drum roll?
No.
No.
Okay. I saw a look on your face in the build-up. I'm sorry I took all the wind out of your sails.
Oh, that's all right.
Maybe in post I'll add a drum roll.
There we go. All right. We'll do some sound effects.
Yeah. You say that's getting cut out.
Please.
Okay, so last week, Bobby and I went and saw Faster Pussycat and Enough's Enough live. And I made a joke that there should be a Chips Enough drinking game where you take a shot every time that he name drops someone from the stage. And that's pretty much what my little portion here of Treasure from the Bargain Bin is going to be like.
No, I think that's mine as well, just because you have to connect it, and you got to talk about so many people that are in it, that how it came upon to be a record. So you kind of have a name drop. So if you would like to take part in that drinking game, anytime we name drop someone, please take a shot of whatever you would like.
Mm-hmm.
We should do that one time and then just take a whole bunch of shots each time we do it. So
it'll be kind of like drunk history.
Yes.
Drunk musical history.
Absolutely. Or like one time I went to a William Shakespeare Shakespearean play, Romeo and Juliet, and it was a drinking game. So the actors were drinking the whole time they were playing. So as you got towards the end of the play, it was a mess and they couldn't remember their lines, and it was quite funny. It was really, really, really comical. So that's what I think, that if that happened, that's what would happen. But at least we have notes that would help try to keep us in line.
Yeah, I mean, I know you might hear some paper now and again because we did have to take down notes to keep us on track. Otherwise, who knows where the conversation would end up. Well,
yeah, and especially with me who has active attention deficit, this would definitely be an issue if I didn't have my notes.
You know, I thought it was just called lazy.
No, I'm definitely a procrastinator, but I just also mean I have the attention of a squirrel, and you do know that.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. Treasures from the Bargain Bin #1, Frankie Miller, Double Trouble from 1978. Frankie Miller is a Scottish singer-songwriter who was popular in the UK during the 70s. His music was a mix of pub rock with American blues, R&B, and country influences, much like the Faces' early solo Rod Stewart and Bad Company.
Yeah.
I almost said good Rod Stewart.
Ooh. I mean, I'm a huge Rod Stewart fan. I love Faces, and I do think that era was definitely a great time for him. But I do find that there is other Rod Stewart later in life that is good.
Yeah, well, his solo albums are really good when he was on Mercury.
Yeah.
And when he moved to the U.S. and signed with Atlantic, that's when it started getting spotty. I mean, there was still some good ones, but he was like, an album would be like half good, half crap.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the last good album he probably did was Spanner in the Works, 95.
I don't even know if I've listened to that one.
Of course, in Germany they got a good kick out of that because apparently Spanner meant like a peeping Tom.
Oh, that's funny.
So instead of like, because he meant like throwing a wrench in the works.
Yeah.
But in Germany they're like, oh, peeping Tom in the works. All right.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a Rod Stewart fan, you should really check out Spanner in the Works. I don't know if it's sold, but it was the last good Rod album. Because then he started doing all like the old fart music and super bland. His last few records are just a mess. He has no idea.
Like a lot of crooner songs.
But then like the last couple albums, like he'd have like a dancey track on it, and then like a country track, and then a reggae track.
Well, he's trying to
throwing his net wide.
Yeah, exactly. He wants his, listeners, he wants to cover all.
But you can shit talk him all you want, at least he still has his hair.
That is true. He's got great hair. Yeah.
So
right. Back to Frankie Miller.
Back to Frankie. I mean, he was probably best known in the U.S. for his duet with Phil Lynott on the Thin Lizzy song Still in Love with You, which I actually prefer the live version without Frankie that's on the Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous album.
Oh,
It's just,
poor Frankie.
I know, I just don't like the song as a duet. I just like Phil singing the whole thing, and the live version's so good. I think it's the definitive version. It's got it's like over 7 minutes long. It's got 2 guitar solos in it. The second one by Gary Moore is like really good without getting too wanky, which a lot of guitar players tend to get super wanky and kill the song.
Wanky. Are we, because he's non-American, are we using the some of their terminology?
No, it's just the only way to describe it, because
wanky.
It's just like masturbation all over the guitar, like Vinnie Vincent, like.
That's very
Maybe,
good. That's descriptive.
Oh, that's a good idea for another Treasure of the Bargain Bin.
What's that?
Vinnie Vincent Invasion, his first album. Holy, I'm trying to stay clean on here, but
Yeah.
that record is insane. But back to Frankie yet again. So see, this is why we have notes.
That is true.
Because it is easy to get distracted. Now, Miller got his professional start when he met up with former Procol Harum guitarist Robin Trower in 1971, and they formed a band called Jude. Despite press coverage, the band broke up the following year. The song I Can't Wait Much Longer, which was co-written by Miller and Trower, ended up on Trower's first solo album, Twice Removed from Yesterday. In 1972, Frankie signed a solo deal with Chrysalis Records. His first 2 albums, Once in a Blue Moon and High Life, sold poorly despite positive reviews. High Life was produced by Alan Toussaint in Atlanta, Georgia, and featured 2 tracks that would later become hits for Betty Wright and Three Dog Night.
Oh.
His next album, 1975's The Rock, finally proved successful with the UK Top 40 single Be Good to Yourself.
Is that about masturbation?
No, but I don't know. It could be. I don't know why
right?
I was so quick to defend it and say no. I don't know. I'd
Be
have to
good
look
to yourself. I don't know. Sounds like
I
self-loving.
I don't think it's I don't know.
Oh, now I have to listen.
Yeah. Well, over the next 3 years, more hit singles followed. Which brings us to 1978 and the album that we're talking about here, Double Trouble. This album was produced by Jack Douglas, who had worked with Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Cheap Trick, and the New York Dolls.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but I see that it even has background singers. It says Steven Tyler. Is it the Steven Tyler?
Yeah, and it's spelled wrong too.
Oh, interesting.
They spelled it with the PH Steven instead of the V Steven.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
So, Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, who had worked with Jack Douglas on Aerosmith's Get Your Wings, Toys in the Attic, provided background vocals. And this was around the same time that Aerosmith were doing the Draw the Line album.
Right. So they were already pretty happening for the most part. And I find that very interesting, that they were already busy doing their own thing and having Toys in the Attic and all that. And then...
But you got to wonder, was Steven just being a good dude? Was he he a Frankie Miller fan?
Or was he just loyal to Jack Douglas?
Or was he just coked out of his head, still in the studio, working on the Aerosmith stuff? And
we're not passing judgment.
And Jack was like, hey, you want to do a line and say some words?
You want to do a line and just sing?
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because his voice is so... I can't imagine that as a background singer, because he has such a distinct voice.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to the record again, see if I can spot him out.
Yeah, me too.
Because when I listened to it before, I didn't notice him, but now...
It doesn't... Well, there's a star, so I was wondering if that correlated with one of the songs, but it doesn't have any stars. It's just that was a starred because it was a courtesy of CBS Records.
Yes.
So there you go.
And also providing backing vocals was Karen Lawrence. At the time, she was the singer for a band called 1994, who Jack Douglas had also produced in 1978. And Douglas and Lawrence had begun a relationship together while working on the 1984 album. And she also sang backing vocals on Aerosmith's Draw the Line.
Oh, interesting.
And Douglas would continue to use her as a backing vocalist on many recordings over the years.
I love how when we start getting into like the history of this, which you are already more aware of and have knowledge of how a lot of people and artists are connected. But for me, who've just been a huge, I say, music connoisseur, not so much a music historian, but finding how small that community of musicians really is when you start getting into records and realizing how everybody's kind of connected.
How inbred it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see Steven Tyler's here, you got Jack Douglas. I mean, you just have all these people that you're like, oh, wow.
And I guess it's right when I say it's inbred, because sometimes a lot of these albums start sounding like the same album.
Well, that's true.
Like in the 80s, a lot of stuff Desmond Child worked on all started sounding alike.
Yeah, so that's
not passing not passing judgment on Desmond Child, because I like his work and he seems like a really good dude.
Yeah.
But back to my notes. Yeah, so Karen Lawrence, after 1994 broke up, she became a blues singer with the band Blue by Nature, and also had a career as a songwriter and arranger.
Arranger or?
Arranger. Not like a park ranger.
Oh, okay. Like,
she would arrange songs.
I thought you meant...
She was a songwriter, and then,
and she was also a ranger in the forest.
Park ranger on the side, She'd go around saying, only you can prevent forest fires.
Yeah. That would be awesome. But okay, a ranger of music.
A ranger.
Okay. Is that the actual name?
A ranger. ARRLLLLLL.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Is that really the professional terminology?
Yeah.
A ranger?
A ranger. Go.
I'm sorry, I just can't stop thinking that she's a park ranger.
I mean, she could be now.
She could be now, right?
I mean,
she could be like Snow White out there singing to all the critters in the forest.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope she doesn't get upset that we think she's a
forest
ranger.
Do you think she's ever going to hear this?
I don't know. I mean, hey, share us, maybe.
That would be pretty cool. I can't wait till someone gets a bee in their bonnet over something we say, and they contact you like, you're wrong, or
oh well, there's always that person out there.
I'm sure.
Always.
Also on the album was Paul Carrick on piano and organ. He'd previously been a member of the band Ace, who were best known for their hit How Long, which was later covered by Bobby Womack, Rod Stewart, and most recently, Revolting Cocks and former Ministry member Chris Connolly.
Woohoo!
I almost feel like I pronounced Chris Connolly's name wrong. Chris Connolly.
Well, I mean, that's a really easy name to say.
I don't know why I was messing it up. Chris. And I've met Chris. I mean, he's a super nice guy. So I feel kind of bad for kind of messing up his name there first time.
I really don't think you did. I think you're just overthinking it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think my ears, it sounded like Chris Connolly.
No, it's pretty clear.
All right. Oh, well. He got his
Sorry, Chris, if it did sound like that. But...
He got his name mentioned a lot.
A lot.
During the... He's Scottish also.
There you go.
That ties in a Frankie Miller.
And, if you are playing the drinking game, as you listen to us...
You're shit-faced right now.
You're pretty shit-faced right now. And woohoo! Keep listening.
I'm not done yet.
We're not done.
So Paul Carrick, after this, played Squeeze for a little while. Mm-hmm. And then Mike and Mechanics, and he still does solo stuff. He actually has an album on his website right now, available. I feel like I've been drinking while we're doing this. If I'm this bad sober, we better not do drunk musical history.
Oh, that would be good.
I will be incomprehensible.
That would be fantastic.
For you?
Well, yeah, for me. Because, side note, I don't know if you've picked up what we're putting down, but we obviously have been... You can tell we're in a relationship, I think.
Surely not.
I think you can tell by how we...
I think we just met.
Yeah. But I have never seen Vince drunk. So I keep saying I want to see him drunk just once. So maybe that's
what'll do it?
Yeah, that's what'll do it.
I mean, you've probably seen me slightly buzzed.
Well, yeah. But buzzed is different than flat out drunk.
Yeah, buzzed is nice.
Yeah.
Flat out drunk's no good.
I mean, it can be. But if you are drinking to this, you're straight up drunk right now. Yeah. So, But keep listening. It's still good. You can listen to it in the morning.
Yeah. If you're if you're buzzy and drunk right now, head over to bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com and buy some records and CDs from us. There you go. But I'll throw that in. I wasn't going to throw the plug in yet, but I was going to come on later, but might as well throw it in there now.
Throw it in.
Throw it in. All right.
Back
to Double Trouble. Carrick and Miller co-wrote a few of the songs, and also featured a couple songs that were written by former Free bassist Andy Frazier. What's fun about that?
Sorry, that wasn't really funny. It's just what my own brain was thinking. I was thinking Free Baller. I don't know. I heard Free.
Why Free Baller?
I don't know why that popped in my head.
That should be the name of a band, Free Baller.
That would be a good one. I don't know. That just popped in my head, and I thought when you were saying Free
Baller.
Free bass?
Is it Free bass? No.
What did you say?
The band bassist from Free. Former Free bassist.
That's it. I heard you say Free bassist.
Should I have said Free bass player?
No.
You think of Free Ball because we were talking about truck nuts the other day?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole other discussion, yeah.
But why is it, usually the truck nuts are either, chrome or blue?
That's true. If you're out there and you have these truck nuts on your vehicle, please let us know.
Let us know. Why are they only chrome or blue? Is it because you have blue balls?
Why do you have them?
I saw a motorcycle once that had a little pair of truck nuts on it.
I feel like maybe we're not being descriptive enough if we're doing that as a side note, just because some of our listeners may not have ever
heard of truck nuts.
Yeah, go
to Google and just type in truck nuts. And they're also available on Amazon.
They are.
But we don't get a kickback from Amazon, so I really shouldn't have promoted that.
So what they are?
It's a scrotum.
It's a scrotum. It's
a rather large scrotum.
Yeah, and you can get them in chrome color or blue color.
I'm sure Amazon has various colors.
I'm sure, and they're probably about, I would say, 8 to 10 inches.
They're about 7, 8 inches.
8 inches in length, and people literally hang them off the tow hitch or their bumper,
the back bumper of the truck,
and they just dangle like an ornament.
It's really weird.
That was just a side note. So if you are a listener and you have these scrotums hanging from your vehicle, please let us know why and the color of yours.
Yes,
of the ones that are on your vehicle, that is. And
but you know who I bet didn't have truck nuts?
Who's that?
Frankie Miller.
Yeah, I bet you Frankie Miller did not. I'm looking at this cover. I don't know if you're going to be speaking about anything of.
I have nothing to say about the album cover. I don't.
You don't?
I like the album. I think it's a really stupid album cover.
The album cover. So let me describe it. Well, listeners.
If you're looking at our Twitter, you'll see it on there, or
our Instagram, or.
That's why did I say Twitter. I meant Instagram because I don't like Twitter. I mean, we have a Twitter. It's BSAT Records. But it's because Bittersweet and Twisted Records was too long for a name. I mean, I think I'm not a fan of Twitter. I'm not a fan of TikTok. Bittersweet and Twisted on TikTok.
As you plug it after you.
I don't know what to do with Twitter. I set it up and
I think we're at that age group that we're gonna have to ask my youngest daughter maybe how we have to use.
Yeah, because I was looking at it yesterday and I was like, I don't get it. We follow a couple of people. It's usually just comedians and Alice Cooper.
Shout out to some of our favorites.
Yeah. Like Trevor Noah.
Yeah, and Tom and Christina P. Love them people.
The Water Champ.
People. Yeah. So I just want to talk about. So let me just describe it a little bit to you, if you don't know what it looks like. So we have. In the background is looks like ocean meeting this beautiful blue sky. There's a blue door up front, and the door has a cutout of Frankie Miller in a bowler hat. Would that be a bowler hat, or
I don't think it's a bowler hat, but
it's a hat.
It's definitely a hat.
Got a little height on it. And then
he's standing next to the door on top of the water with his guitar.
And there's literally like shadowing from where his feet would be on the water. So it looks like he's hovering above the ocean.
So is he like Jesus?
I don't know.
Walking on the water? Is he like rock and roll Jesus? And there's pieces of the door on top of the water too.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. And then there's Frankie Miller, and I really like the outfit, though, I have to say. It's a nice blue, a royal blue crushed velvet. Looks like a split tail coat.
He's got his scarf.
With his nice black and white polka dotted scarf. And he's even, you can see his pinky ring, too. You got to have that little.
That is
looks like
pretty baller.
Yeah, that's like sapphire diamond or something on his pinky with his guitar. But, you know, it's an interesting album cover that I'm not really sure of what the concept of it.
And tell them about the back.
Oh, the back is just the same kind of concept with the ocean meeting the sky with the door. But there is no Frankie Miller. And his hat and polka dotted scarf is now hanging on the doorknob.
And
with his guitar.
Yeah.
Leaning against it. So it is a very interesting and
I would like to have been there in the meeting for this.
Yeah, like
is there a credit for who did the layout? So
Graham Hughes for the photography. The design was Alan Waldy.
And art direction is Peter
Wag.
Wag.
So yeah, like
if any of those guys are still alive and hear this, I'd love to hear from you.
On your direction that you were going with this.
We'd love to know what the inspiration was for this album cover.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Because so if you look, you know, the titles of the songs, I was trying to see if any of it had anything that would correlate to the ocean. The only thing that I see would be on side 2 called Love Waves. That's the only thing, and that's a stretch.
I don't think it has
anything to do with the cover art, but
I think because the album's Double Trouble, so he's creating trouble by barging in through the door, I guess, because the wood shards of the door are laying down
and making waves,
and it's like double trouble because you got like Frankie Miller and his cutout on the door.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I don't know. I'm curious.
I think if you'd been taking shots.
Yeah, I would be feeling it.
You'd be like, "Oh, that's
makes
deep.
sense."
Your guy's really deep. I get it.
We would totally see where Alan and Peter were at that meeting, going, "Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what."
Or was this like an idea that Frankie had,
right,
and brought to them, and they went, "Yeah, we can make it happen."
Yeah.
Or they having a meeting and they came to him and he went, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So check it out.
Or did like they put it together with the record label and showed him and he went, that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah, so check out you can easily Google it up, online, and you can search, the cover and.
Yeah, because it seems like there used to be a time when like artists had no say in their album covers and they would get the printed album and be like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
Like Black Sabbath with Paranoid.
Yeah.
Originally that was going to be called War Pigs.
Right.
And then they got the album. It's like this guy in like his neon colored suit running through the woods, and it's called Paranoid. And they're like, huh?
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes. Side note, but yes. So where were we? We talked about Karen Lawrence.
So this was like his 5th or 6th solo album at this point.
Oh, really? At this point?
And he was really cranking them out. It's been like one a year. Sometimes, well, there was one. I think in '78 he actually did another album. He had 2 albums in '78.
So now, me not knowing much about Frankie Miller, because this was way a bit before my time, but since he's a Scottish singer, was he more popular in the Scotland and the UK, or was okay? No,
and then he had I don't know if it was this one or the one before it, Full House, had charted in Australia.
Okay.
So his career had a slight blip over there too.
And when you said this was his about 5th or 6th?
5th or 6th album.
So what year did that first one come out?
72.
Okay, so it was all still.
He was really cranking them out.
I mean,
By this point, he was really comfortable with his signature sound, which was a mix of rock, soul, country, and blues.
Okay.
And like 2 of his other albums, he had recorded in the U.S., the home of so much music that he loved. So
We hope you're still with us. We haven't lost any.
Yeah,
of you.
I know.
Hopefully you can stay with our little.
I know
little tracks, our little offshoots.
I know we started talking about a record and we ended up talking about truck nuts, but
Welcome to our brain.
so so the record came out, and then nothing. I don't know if it sold in the UK because I know it didn't sell in the US. Because even though he had hits in the UK, he only had like 3 minor hits in the US.
Okay.
He had the Doodle Song.
The Doodle Song.
The Doodle Song. That was on the Full House album, which was actually, I have a bargain bin too. I could have done that one just as easy.
Oh, I'm curious about the Doodle Song.
Well, we'll have to listen to it later.
Okay.
And the Doodle Song went to number 71 in the US in 1977.
Okay.
Darlin' charted at 103 in 1978. And his last US charting single was To Dream the Dream at number 62 in 1982.
Okay.
Now, he continued recording albums in the 80s, but didn't have any hits until 1992, when he had a hit in Scotland with his cover of Dougie MacLean's. Now, if someone's going to correct me on the pronunciation, that's fine. Caledonia.
That's what I would say,
Caledonia, which I think Fish also did a cover. Not the PH Fish, not those hippie Americans, the former Marillion singer. I feel like he did a cover of it too in the 90s. But I could be wrong because I'm not looking at my Fish collection. But I feel like he did too. Anyway, take a shot. During these 10 years, where his career wasn't doing so hot hit-wise, he'd written hits for Johnny Cash, Ray Charles, Rod Stewart. Again, Rod keeps coming up.
Whoa. That's 4 shots right there.
I know. Waylon Jennings, Bob Seger, Roy Orbison, Clint Black, and others.
Wow. So it sounds like he may have did better in the U.S. by just writing.
Yeah, and he also he had a single in 77, 78, because that was a really busy 2 years for him, called When I'm Away From You. That the American, I know you like that song.
I love that song.
The American country act, the Bellamy Brothers, had covered that.
Did they?
And they had a huge country hit in the U.S. with that.
The Bellamy Brothers?
Yeah.
Brothers did?
And they also did another one of his songs in the 80s. I forget which song it was.
That's so interesting.
So they had 2 hits of 2 of his songs.
Oh, wow.
So while he had very few hits,
yeah,
when people covered him, like I said earlier, Betty Wright and Three Dog Night,
yeah,
hits.
Yeah.
Which must have been partially really annoying, because you're like, these songs I wrote aren't hits for me, but they're hits for other people. But then he's probably looked at the money and went, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll stick with this.
So in around 79, he started writing songs for film and television.
Oh. And
his music appeared in such films. Did I say his music or his films appeared?
You said his music appeared in such films as...
His music appeared in such films as A Sense of Freedom, 1979, All the Right Moves, 1983, which is the Tom Cruise movie.
Oh.
He's like, I think that's the one where he's the high school football guy, but he's like 3 feet tall, so...
Oh, all I had in my head was The Risky Business.
No. I think, I don't know. This was around the same time, but I think it was pre-Risky Business. I don't know. I'm not a Tom Cruise person.
So that was...
But the idea of him...
Pre-Tom Cruise, before he was...
But the idea of him as like I'm pretty sure a high school football guy is hilarious.
Okay.
And then he had music in the movie Light of Day, starring Joan Jett, Michael J. Fox in 1985. Did you ever see that?
I don't think so. I mean, if I did...
They're brother and sister and have a band.
Oh, no.
It's really good.
Oh, I feel like I should know that one.
Back in the 80s, I used to watch it on Prism all the time.
On Prism?
Prism. Like, if you're in the Philly area, you know Prism was a cable channel.
Oh. Yeah, I was up
that was carried back in the 80s. And then when Prism folded, they switched everyone over to HBO.
Oh no! See, I'm just a country bumpkin, and we had 3 channels still during this time, and they were black and white still.
Oh no, they weren't.
Yeah, no,
What?
I'm serious. We still had an old television, and the only reason why we had this television is because somebody gave it to us, and it was still black and white. It had the typical aluminum foil bunny ears with the little circular ring antenna as well. And we had 3 channels. This is no lie, okay? I mean, I really was in the country bumpkin, but we had channel 8, channel 11, and 43.
Nice.
Yes.
No wonder you're so in love with my high-speed internet connection.
It is really nice because, even though this is quite some time, I still am in that current area, and it's still very backwoods in a sense where we do not have high-speed internet. It's very slow and horrible. So being here, it's really great. So I do not know some of these shows or movies.
We'll have to see if Light of Day is streaming.
Yes.
Oh, also, Trent Reznor's in Light of Day.
Oh, see, you think I would know these things.
Yeah. He's the keyboard player in some other band in it.
Oh, that's so funny. And this was 85.
Yeah.
Huh. That's funny. Yeah. And what else?
Also, he had songs in You Can't Hurry Love.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
The Rum Diary, which starred Johnny Depp in 2011.
I never saw that one. I wanted to, though.
That's the one where he met, what's her name, the one he married? Amber Heard. I'm not even, if you know me personally, you know my thoughts on Amber Heard after I worked on a movie with her.
Yes.
I was going to say Johnny Depp is innocent. That's all I'm going to say because...
Oh, we just lost some followers on that one. Good job.
Amber Heard is a screaming a-hole. But
there we go. So go back to he wrote some music for the Rum Diaries.
Yeah, one of his songs was used in that, and then in 2015, he had a song in Diary of a Teenage Girl.
I do know that movie.
You know that one?
Yes.
Of course you do.
Yeah, listeners, I have 3 daughters, which are 23, 21, and almost 17. Well, so I definitely was really...
If we hadn't aged ourselves at the beginning of this...
I know, we really did. So that is... that is
I'm eternally youthful.
I agree. I am as well. They say age is only a number.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Age is only a hairline on the waistline. No.
Oh, yeah. That's a truth. But, next.
Okay. So even though, his albums weren't doing so hot, he was still successful as a songwriter. And in 1994, while he was in New York City working on material with former Eagles guitarist Joe Walsh, Miller suffered a brain hemorrhage.
Oh, wow.
And after 5 months in a coma, he was left unable to speak or sing, and his performing career was over.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. That's so sad.
Yeah. And in 2007, the Eagles covered Miller's Guilty of the Crime for their reunion studio album, Long Road Out of Eden.
Oh. So wait, he was 5 months in a coma.
Yeah.
And then he was unable to speak or sing.
Once he came out of the coma.
But he was still alive.
He's still alive.
He still is alive today.
He's still alive.
Wow.
A few years ago, he had co-written his first song in years.
Oh, wow. So, okay, so he's there.
I assume he's there.
But
yeah, a few years ago, he'd written the music for a new song finally, and someone else, and his co-writer wrote the lyrics.
Oh, but you know what? I mean, that to me, I'm like, oh, but... how talented, at least he used a lot of his talenteds, but I'm glad he could still use them even after.
Yeah.
But I mean, sorry dude. I'm glad you're still around though.
And in 2016, a new Frankie Miller album, Double Take, was released. It was comprised of old demos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was old demos turned in. And that album came about because of Rod Stewart.
Oh, good old Rod.
Because Rod had asked the producer who knew Frankie if Frankie had any old songs that hadn't been released. So they went to Frankie's family and they had dozens of unreleased songs. And so this album, Double Take, was put together.
Okay.
And the songs are turned into duets with such artists as Elton John, Bonnie Tyler, Rod Stewart, Willie Nelson, and Miller's old friend Paul Carrick.
Oh.
And the album charted at number 11 in Scotland and number
Okay.
100 in the UK.
Wow, that's pretty great then. So they were all his songs.
They were all previously
but other
unreleased
people were
songs.
doing,
So
like-
he'd recorded demos. So
Okay.
the songs, they're duets. So
Yeah.
they're partially his old demo singing, and then these other artists added their vocal to it.
Well, I mean,
I think Huey Lewis is on it also, and
did he have the news then?
he's not the news because this was like this was only like 5 years ago it came out. But then again, we know, Huey has all the hearing issues now, and he can't perform anymore
yeah.
either.
To our listeners, our goal is to also, towards the end of the episode, is to make sure that we can be able to make a connection between the two in some random way.
So we're gonna.
But I see
Yeah.
Bonnie Tyler. Is
Yeah.
that what you're gonna say?
That was one of the things.
Okay.
So I had two ways I was going to connect Frankie
Okay.
Miller Double Trouble to Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell.
Okay, all right.
So we'll get to that.
Okay.
But so Frankie has remained a bit of like a musical legend and icon in Scotland and the UK.
Okay.
And in 2019, on the UK version of The Voice, one of the contestants performed Frankie Miller's Jealousy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's nice to know that...
It's nice to know. But wait, did they do good?
Actually,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, or
Yeah,
were they
it
like
was
the
funny 'cause
first one?
I was watching the clip on YouTube. The guy got like 4 words in, and people were like hitting the thing. Like, yep.
Okay.
So I forget the dude's name, but that was so cool of him to do a Frankie Miller
That
song.
is cool.
I mean,
This makes me want to listen to more Frankie Miller. I like,
It's-
I love a good comeback story
Yeah.
too from a bad situation. But,
and in this year in 2021,
Uh-huh.
Choir Boys frontman Spike and friends performed an evening of Frankie Miller, an online streaming concert of all Miller songs.
how many scarves did he have?
Spike probably had at least 2.
You thought Steven Tyler had a lot of scarves? I'm just
It
saying.
ain't shit compared to Spike.
No, Spike. I love your
And-
style.
and that-
just FYI, Spike.
And that, we are not shit talking
no,
Spike.
not at all.
I love the Choir Boys, since that's where we got the name for our podcast
That's
from.
true. Word up.
I would love to see them live, and in the last, I guess, 10 years, they've toured the U.S. twice, and I unfortunately missed them both times. They were touring the U.S. last year. And
Yeah,
had to cut
last year.
They had to cut the tour short because of COVID, because everything was shutting down, and they were afraid they were going to get stuck here.
Oh, COVID.
But so Spike did the streaming concert of all Frankie Miller songs, and he had previously released an album of Miller covers called 100% Frankie Miller.
Oh, Spike did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Now, was it with the Choir Boys?
No, it was a solo record.
album?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
cool.
he's had some solo albums. It's just really good. Blue Eyed Soul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's really good. That was the name of one of his solo albums, Blue Eyed Soul. So that was pretty much truth in advertising.
Yeah.
When you sit out, you're like, I know what we're getting.
Okay.
And this wasn't Spike's first time covering Frankie Miller, because the Choir Boys had also done covers of When I'm Away From You and Baby It's You.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, there's that whole...
Like the one, Baby It's You, like the old 1950s doo-wop one?
I don't think it's a 50s doo-wop song.
Oh.
But no, there's just that period of music from England from the early 70s, that the pub rock stuff with the R&B and the soul influences. It's just
awesome.
so good. It's just so good. Like we were saying, the Faces early Rod. I mean, earlier I said Bad Company but they're a little more rocking. But Paul Rodgers is a real big blues guy.
Yeah.
So that's why I included them, because it's just
There was something about that time period.
it really was. I mean, the songs were great.
They were.
I loved the production on the albums because they just sounded so good. The drums. This is
Wow.
I'm trying not to go on a rant.
Oh, goodness.
Because I hate the way drums sound on modern rock albums.
If you need a break.
Yeah. Go take a pee break now.
Take a pee break
Go take a pee break, because I'm going to rant. No, because they've been there's on YouTube, Rick Beato, on his podcast, he did an episode on current studio techniques, and he talks about why drums sound so shit on new recordings, and it's really fascinating. But yeah, I hate the way drums sound. They sound so terrible, even if it's a real drummer, because a lot of times they'll take them in there and chop it up and make them so precise that it sounds like a drum machine, and you take all the feel out.
Yeah,
but
and you know how I feel. I love live double bass on drums, because something about that, I mean, gets in your soul. But when they use the drum machine and when you're at a concert or something, it's really kind of a letdown a little bit.
It just anyway. I like the old drum sounds.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. I do. We're not knocking it all, because we also do like electronic, so some electronic, so and industrial, so we're not completely. But whoops.
Oh, sorry. Jesus, you just hit the microphone.
I hit the mic. Sorry, guys.
No.
I didn't drop it.
Well, well, I guess we will stop here with Treasure from the Bargain Bin #1 before Bobbie destroys everything.
So much faith in me.
I have lots of faith in you.
Thanks, babe.
All right, everyone, just hang in there, and we will be right back with Treasure from the Bargain Bin #2, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell.
Who's a ho? I just have that. You don't know that song?
No.
It's Ludacris sings that.
Oh.
Who's a ho?
I thought
you said that you's a ho. And I just thought that would be a great intro to.
Because I'm about to start whoring stuff.
Ready to be a ho. Yeah.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed what you've heard of the podcast so far. This is the part where we give you all the fun stuff, like our social media. We're on Instagram as Bittersweet and Twisted. We're on Facebook as Bittersweet and Twisted Records. We're on TikTok for some reason as Bittersweet and Twisted. I mean, I guess someday we'll figure out how to use TikTok.
Someday, after I ask my daughter.
Yeah. But at this point, I'm not into it. I think it's stupid, but...
but it might do us really well.
We
don't want to put it down yet.
Yeah, not yet. We'll give it time before I start shit-talking it more. We also have an eBay store.
We do.
Where we have records, CDs, cassettes, posters, VHS, DVDs, Blu-rays, and books. Books.
A lot of it geared to, I was going to say, a lot of it geared to music.
All music and movie-related stuff. And you can check that out at bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com.
Buy some
stuff. You can also get podcast merch.
What?
I know. We have a TeePublic store, and that link will be on our Instagram.
It will be.
Or if you're checking this out on YouTube, it's in the links below. So,
and if you're on YouTube, I feel like I should say, like they always say, like and subscribe.
Smash the button. Smash the button. Subscribe. Follow.
Follow us.
On our TeePublic store, we're going to have shirts, hoodies, phone cases, masks, notebook, mugs. Kind of like Kiss.
Oh.
If we can put our logo on it, we will.
We will slap that shit on it all.
If TeePublic had caskets, we would have the Bittersweet and Twisted casket.
Hey, and not just to toot our own horn, but I'm going to toot toot. I really like that. I love our logo. The logo is bad. It's awesome. It's everybody. You're all going to want something with our logo on it because it is nice.
I know. I did a really good job.
You did a really good job.
I did a really good job.
You did.
I'm pretty proud of it.
I'm proud of you.
I
like it. Because
most of the stuff I design, I'm not proud of. I like it. A lot of the design stuff I do, I just do for the money. No, occasionally I do like the stuff I do, but this one's really good.
It's really good. It's great. It's gonna look good on shirts, and I just want to see people walking around with it, and I want us to be able to keep giving you podcast and selling things to you. So
yeah,
support us.
Give us your money.
Please, sir.
And your ears, and your
And
support,
your ears.
and your love.
Yes, I hope we can grip you by the heart and
Grip you by truck nuts.
there you go. I was gonna say balls.
We should have
bittersweet and twisted
truck nuts.
Yes.
So if anyone
those are the nuts I might have on my car.
if anyone out there makes truck nuts and you can put our logo on it, get in touch.
Get in touch. Let us touch your balls. Wait, no?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it would.
No. You
No.
you completely railroaded.
Railroaded it.
Boom. Our whole section of promoting our merch links.
That goes along with hoeing.
Bombing?
Touching.
Oh, that's a reach.
That's a high five. Yeah, that's a high five.
All right.
Okay.
Now let's get back
Back
into it.
into the business. Welcome back. This is Treasures from the Bargain Bin, take 2. All right, so I'm going to be talking about Meat Loaf and his 1977 album, Bat Out of Hell, which I have to say I might be biased, but I absolutely love this album. I think as many people do by now, because of how
Since
much
it sold
so many records.
It sold a copy or two.
Yeah, a copy or two, just
Sounds
one
like-
or two.
I think they say it sells like 200,000 copies a year.
Yeah, something crazy. But mine just so happens to be,
Looking at your notes there, you wrote like a thesis paper on this.
well, I'm also a grad student, FYI. So I also write like a grad student. To all my grad students out there, you know what I'm talking about. You got to have it in.
Yeah, you should have seen my Frankie Miller notes.
You got to have it in order and underlined.
She's got
and
bullet points.
Bullet points, and it's just.
Mine
it's
had
just-
like no
It's
punctuation,
It's how my
incorrect grammar.
brain is working still. So, and if you are a grad student, word up to you, because I hope you just finish, stick with it, finish. It'll be over soon.
Was that your
That's my pep talk to
Yeah.
all of us grad people. That it'll be done soon. All right, so back to Meat Loaf. So, I want to start with pre-Bat Out of Hell, because I'm just trying to break it all down how it got to be Bat Out of Hell and such a awesome album. So we know, if you don't know this album, Meat Loaf is the singer. And so I think it's a little bit important to go back to how we got this quite eccentric album of Bat Out of Hell.
Do young people know who Meat Loaf is anymore?
I don't know.
Do you think your girls know?
My daughters would definitely know who
Yeah,
Meat
'cause of
Loaf
you.
is because of me. But do I think any young? No, maybe unless their parents
Well,
showed them. I don't know.
I worked with this young guy one time,
Yeah.
and he didn't know who you two were.
And that's a shocker, because I'm like, you two, I don't know. I just feel like that's so commercialized, kind of like Kiss, that everyone would know who they
Yeah.
are. But
He was like, I have no idea.
Meat Loaf, I mean, I don't know, maybe not. But Meat Loaf was, that's not his birth name. His mother actually did name him Michael Lee Aday. But 4 days later, and I don't know, I was reading this, and Meat Loaf, that is, I was talking to a reporter, and he said this exactly 4 days after his birth. His father came, looked at him, which I thought that was just a little odd in general. So his dad didn't see him for 4 days, like after. I don't know. I mean, I know different time, because this was 1947, FYI, that
his
he was
dad
born.
seemed like a good dude.
Yeah, but his dad took one look at him and said he looks like a pile of meat, basically, I think was the wording he said. Let's see. Oh, his direct quote was, he looks like meat. And just to put it back there, just to give you some, he's only 5'10" as an adult, which I learned this morning. So he's not a very tall dude. But in fifth grade, he weighed 185 pounds.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. So he's just a big dude in general. But I'm not saying that that's anything wrong with that. He's just a big person. He's just big voice, big personality, wrapped up in this dude. So yeah. So anyway, so a little bit about Meatloaf. So he was a huge theater person.
Did you say theater?
Theater.
Oh.
No.
Oh, you're a little prissy today.
Yes, I'm a little prissy. So he was involved in theater. He did many different performances. Some of the more notable ones that kind of got this career for him kickstarted was he was in Hair, and that is where he met Sean Murphy, or singer Stoney, which led to the a little bit real quick, but her name, Sean Murphy, she went on later on throughout life. She became the lead singer for the band called Little Feat in
really?
In 83. Did I get you on something?
You got me. What? I did not know she sang for Little Feat.
Yeah, FYI, he's like a walking Wikipedia, so the fact that if I can stump him, that's always super cool points for me. So if you're taking tallies on that, put a tally line on my side, please.
That, and if you're still playing the drinking game.
Yeah, you've already you're getting there. We got 2 so far.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she went on to do Little Feat, and I thought that was a pretty big connection for her.
Yeah.
But first,
yeah,
her and Meatloaf met at Hair, performing Hair in the Detroit area. And then they also created a album called Stoney and Meatloaf.
I used to have that album.
And evidently there is an error in the way that they have his name, because they have his name as Meatloaf, the meat product. So it's like MEAT LOAF together in one word. Where later in life it was Meat Loaf. 2 words. So... but that was released in 1971 by Rare Earth, which was a subsidiary of Motown. The most notable song on that, which I'm not familiar with, but maybe you will.
No, I remember I had one of the reissues of it, one of the zillion reissues after he became successful. And I don't remember much about the album.
Okay, well...
I just know that it can't be worse than his Hell in a Handbasket album.
There you go. But he also went on to do this song later on in his own solo career, specifically in his tour in '86. What You See Is What You Get.
Don't know.
So yeah, neither do I. But so that album, that's where kind of he started getting into like recording solo things or musical, other than theater music, where he went on to create albums. And that album was also, so it came out in 71, but after Bat Out of Hell was released in 77, that album got reissued in 78 and 79.
Now, I don't know about the 79 reissue, but the 78 reissue, the album cover.
Is this the one where he's sitting in the chair?
No, that was the original one.
That was the original.
The reissue after Bat hit, it was the meatloaf with a face on it.
Oh, yes. It literally is your dinner meatloaf with like a ketchup face.
Yeah.
And
it's the most ridiculous album cover.
It's a little disturbing, honestly. It really is. Like, because it doesn't look appetizing as a food, and it doesn't look appetizing as a cover of a album. So look that up. You can find that up on online.
I wonder if the people who did that layout were hanging out with the Frankie Miller people,
right? When they all did like,
no, I shouldn't say that. The Frankie Miller album cover is way better than that.
Yeah, it is. But I think the point of that is like, we would have liked to been in that.
The absurdity of it, I guess.
Yeah, we would have liked to been in that meeting when they met and said, "Let's put this on the cover." So, and then it was also re-released in '86. So, but Meatloaf's most popular role, or one of my all-time favorite roles, is in the cult classic Rocky Horror Picture Show as sweet, sweet Columbia's motorcycle, leather-clad wearing, singing boyfriend, Eddie. But before the film version, he was Eddie on Broadway. And that is where, I'm going to drop a name real quick, that's where him and Todd Rundgren first met. Meatloaf was when Meatloaf was on stage on Broadway.
What was Todd doing at Broadway?
Watching shows.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just out, hanging out in New York watching shows. But I think the best, the song that he sang in Rocky Horror is got to be one of the best. It's Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, Hot Patootie.
Which he's done on some of his solo tours.
I love that song.
There was one tour he did. I don't know if it was I don't think it was the Three Bats tour, but one of them he opened with it.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's a great song. It's catchy. If you don't know it, go listen to it. It'll be stuck in your head all day. So I also wanted to talk about the musical genre that this album was considered to be. And some of that I've learned some new terminology I did not know before this research. So I thought it was kind of funny. But they put it under rock, pop rock, rock and roll, progressive rock, rock opera, glam rock, right? Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I would not put that with...
Yeah, because it sounds like Kiss and Sweet.
Yeah, it could. And
no.
Yeah. No. And, and all I keep thinking about is like, I don't see that because I'm thinking when I think glam rock, I'm especially in around this era and this area as well, the geography of it. I'm thinking New York Dolls. I'm thinking T-Rex. Like I'm thinking all these people. I just don't see the glam rock portion, but I don't know. But the rock opera, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely see. Rock.
Progressive rock, I don't see either.
I don't see that either.
It doesn't sound like Genesis or Yes or Van de Graaff Generator or any of that.
Yeah. And my favorite, has become my favorite, Wagnerian rock. And not everyone might know what Wagnerian rock is, so I'm going to give you a little schooling.
A little
schooling. So the term, as you make a mess.
I just spilled.
So the term was coined by John Steinman.
Tom.
What is it? Tom. Jim. Jim. I'm sorry, Jim Steinman. At least he's not.
At least he's dead and he can't
right?
hear you
At least
fuck
he's
up his
not
name.
To yell at me, sorry.
Because
Sorry, the ghost of Jim.
Jen. Now you changed sex too?
I said
no,
Jen.
He's not. Oh, I think you said Jen.
No, I said Jen, like Gin. Maybe I have my mind on something else. The drinking game. That's where. But so you would have drank.
Were you taking shots during by Frankie Miller?
So Jim Steinman coined that term. When I looked it up, it said it is the merger of the 20th century rock and roll and 19th century opera, reminiscent of composer Richard Wagner, or this is an or, which I thought it's interesting because it says or, named after the Wall of Sound.
Oh, that's Phil Spector, right?
There you go. So for musical people who may not know, the Wall of Sound was a recording technique created by you can look at it how you want to look at it, how he is known and why
Phil
he's
Spector
so
was a piece of shit.
Yeah, that Phil Spector. Yes, he. I think we can all agree on that. I don't think there's any.
I don't know. Like some people are like, "Oh, you have to respect what he did." It's like, no, he shot a woman in the mouth. He's
crazy.
Fuck him. I'm glad he's dead.
He
not to swear, but that's how much I dislike him.
But yeah. So anyway, but to give you an understanding of what the Wall of Sound was, this was a recording technique that Phil Spector created. It gave you the characteristics of like bombastic, reverberating instruments, which constantly threaten to drown out the vocals.
I'm way in distance now. I'll just clean up my spill. And when you said bombastic,
yeah,
I was just thinking when Hannah slaps your boob, and she's like,
boom bap! Oh my god! So
Hannah's one of her daughters.
Hannah's one of my daughters. It's nothing too creepy, but my daughter has this.
It's the sneak attack.
Sneak attack. She just walks up to you and kind of lifts your boob up from underneath and slaps it on the top, and she says boom bat. So there's another game you just learned today from teenagers worldwide. I don't know if it's just my weirdo kids or if
now we need to make merch that says boom bap.
Oh my gosh, Hannah would be so happy.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Anyway, so the boombastic reverberating instruments which constantly threaten to drown out the vocals, which I thought that was kind of interesting because I don't get that from Meatloaf, because I get kind of the opposite, because Meatloaf's voice is so loud, and I don't feel like the instruments are drowning him out, except for when they kind of do the musical portion of the song.
I never thought about that. But I guess it's maybe just the taking the idea of just the boom bap, just the bombast of it all, because that's bad out of hell. It's like it's like you have this really bombastic rock and roll, then these lush, slower parts. I mean, I don't know. There's something in there as an influence on that.
Which I thought that this was interesting too, because I think this next line, it better characterizes what the Wall of Sound was. It says the Wall of Sound was one of the first attempts to use recording studio as an instrument. So I guess by altering the treble and the bass and all that kind of thing, like that's what they're thinking of, but that's not what I kind of got from the other portion of it, which was the musical and mixing with the 19th century opera. So anyway, I thought that was kind of neat, because I definitely can see when you listen to them, you definitely can get the sense of a rock opera, just because it is very theatrical. I think theater people, I'm not putting you down. I love you all. I have many, many friends in the theater world. But you definitely can kind of group them together in the rock opera grouping, and you can see where they're all intertwined and interbred, like we were talking about earlier. Not inbred, not in a bad way, but they all have their.
Is there a good way for inbreeding?
Well, we're not literally talking about inbreeding, not sexually, or we're just talking about how everyone is connected in some way, and you will see that.
Maybe we should say overlapping.
Overlapping. That's a nicer word.
Overlapping instead of inbreeding.
Okay, so we'll take that back, everyone. Overlapping, because you will see that in Meatloaf's. The history of Meatloaf, where a lot of the people that he started off with, like Sean Murphy, or the other people that he met throughout his theater career, how they all intertwine and are always interlapping throughout Meatloaf's music, throughout Steinman, his production, right? And then throughout Todd Rundgren, you'll see Todd. And that's Todd. That's not making fun of you. That's another Todd that we know. But you'll see that everyone's intertwined. So back to Meatloaf. So this was released on Cleveland International, which their parent label was Epic Records, and this was released October 21st of 77. Okay. Which I really do honestly is one of my absolute favorite musical years, not just because it's the year I was born, but specifically that there's something about that year. There was great music that year. I mean, I could go on about a lot of the English music happenings at that time. They're different in England and the UK with the Clash and
Damned.
The Damned, and oh my gosh, T-Rex and all of those.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much good music that came out that year. Anyway, so the album was originally recorded during 75 through 76, but the concept of it came much earlier in life through... where did I do it?
They started recording in 75?
Yeah, started recording in 75 through 76 at various studios, but one of their last studios was at Todd Rundgren's studio in Woodstock area.
Now, I wonder if any of the 75 recording overlapped with the Ted Nugent album that Meat sang on.
Oh yeah, because I totally forgot to add that in there.
Yeah,
You told me not to forget that. Yeah.
He sang on like half of the Free for All album.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there was any overlap. And that was on Epic Records.
Right.
So I wonder if there was any overlap there.
Possibly, because I don't know what year was.
I think that was
Nugent.
75.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
We'll have to fact check ourselves on that one, but yeah, I mean, and possibly. I mean, even though it took a while for it to be recorded, it took even longer for it to get produced.
Yeah.
It took a long time. But what I was going to say is how. So it was produced by Todd Rundgren. There are 7 songs on the album. First one, of course, Bat Out of Hell. Second, You Took the Words Out of My Mouth. 3, Heaven Can Wait. 4, All Revved Up with No Place to Go. 5, 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. 6, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I think it might be just called Paradise, actually. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure
Is it?
Okay,
and then 7 for Crying Out Loud. Me personally, I love every single one of these songs. I do. I love them.
When did you first hear this album?
Well, we were talking about the other night, but
Yeah.
I first heard this. My mom was a huge fan of getting tapes, cassette tapes. Youngins. They are coming back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Youngins probably know now.
And out of the bargain bin, out of like Walmart or somewhere, like you said, Jamesway. It probably was Jamesway. And she had this meatloaf one.
Jamesway was a chain of retail stores.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It might not be
They
everywhere.
went out
for all of
of
us
business in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Because they used to have, the music department, they used to have, the records and the cassettes records, and they got rid of the records and brought in CDs. But usually they have like a little standalone cube display, 4-sided, and that usually had your budget cassettes, your $4.98 cassettes on that.
Yeah. So I remember being in my mom's car, and my mom always listened to this one station where from the Baltimore, Maryland area that was 105.7. I'm not sure if it's still around, but it was oldies. 105.7, the oldies. And we always listened to old music. And she had bought that tape, and I think I was like 13 or 14. But I didn't want to act like I liked it because it wasn't cool at the time to like your parents' music, but I secretly did.
But now it's super cool.
Now it's super cool. It's because it's nostalgic now, and it's retro.
Because now your girls are like Blondie.
I know,
Ramones,
liking all that stuff. So it's not so bad. But I remember listening to it, and I loved it. And that was probably the first time I really fell in love with this person. And then I also loved the imagery of the cover.
Which is going to be one of the most misleading album covers
Absolutely.
of all time. I remember when I first saw it, back in days, in the early 80s, there used to be this company, they would put out gum shaped like little records, and they came in like little LP cover replicas. Mm-hmm. And there was like...
It had bubble gum that was shaped like it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
bubble gum
it was shaped like a record. It had grooves and everything in it, too.
Shout out to the people who know what we're talking about.
Because I used to get them at the West Grove Pharmacy. And, I mean, they had Judas Priest, and I can't...
Yeah.
A lot of artists that were on CBS Records at the time. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of them on eBay, which I'd like to have some of them. But not the gum, but just the sleeve.
Yeah, we don't want the gum. You can keep the gum.
But I remember... I can remember going in the pharmacy, and they used to have one. I remember seeing the Bat Out of Hell cover, and I was like, whoa! I was like, that is awesome! And then when I finally heard the album, I can't remember if one of my uncles had it, which is most probable, or I bought the cassette from Jamesway. But I remember being completely disappointed that the music was nowhere as evil as the album cover looked.
It does, and
at first I didn't like it. When I finally heard the album in the late 80s, because I was into like tons of like hair metal, so this was like so not hair metal.
Not hair metal, absolutely.
But I ended up in the 90s growing an appreciation for Bat Out of Hell and all things Meatloaf. I mean, I even like the Midnight Lost and Found album, which is nothing like Bat Out of Hell. Yeah. But
it's so you have to look it up if you don't know what we're talking about. I'll just give it a description a little bit. But it's like it's oh gosh, a motorcycle. What'd you say? Like I mean, I guess it's supposed to be looking like hell.
Yeah, like
a lot of reds and a lot of
reds,
like
oranges,
and
the
then the
motorcycle
busting out of hell. And what's on the motorcycle?
It's a dude.
It's just a dude, though.
Yeah.
Is it dark hair?
It's like the long-haired dude. I'm pretty sure.
The blonde?
Because someone didn't bring their record with them.
I know.
To this.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. So I don't actually have it in front of me. But anyway. But yeah, it's mean. Like, it's like busting out of hell on this motorcycle. You're like, man, that guy's badass. Like, what did he do to get into hell? And now he's so badass he's getting out of hell. Like,
yeah, he's
what?
breaking out of hell, and he's like...
It was pretty... So anyway, so it's pretty cool. So when you first see that, you're
and
like,
then you
wow,
have a song
this is...
like, Heaven Can Wait. You're like, yeah, it can wait because I'm a badass.
I don't know if that's what I was getting, but yeah, definitely when you see the song and you hear the songs, you're like, wow, okay, that's not what I was thinking.
Then Iron Maiden later had a song called Heaven Can Wait, too.
Yes.
Which is not the same as Meatloaf.
No, not the same at all. Oh, yeah. So, well, it actually looks like, yeah, well, it's a little bit of a graveyard, too, on there. I just had to look it up on my phone really quick to get the image.
Yeah, it's got like the bat on the gravestone.
Yeah.
It's more of a
and you're like, it's coming out of a cemetery out underground, but that's supposed to be representing.
It's
like,
such a metal
it's
looking
so cool.
album.
It's very metal. It's very
metal.
Yeah, it's very metal. Like, it's very like Iron Maiden-ish. Like,
you got to wonder how many albums they sold just because of the cover.
Because of the cover, right. People thinking it's going to be something awesome.
Back in the day,
like Sabbath or something.
Browsing the record racks and they're like, oh man, that has got to be so evil.
Yeah. And then you get it home
so
and you're like, this is a lot of love ballads.
Yeah, they got that in their Sabbath albums. And they're like, I do feel cheated.
Yeah. So, yeah, I bet you there was quite a few sold to some metalheads out there. But, yeah. So, anyway, but before, that album came about, I mentioned a little bit how they really struggled trying to get that album produced. People weren't willing to touch it at the time. It's just, I don't think it was what a lot of the industry was trying to look for and to create to get out, to sell that kind of music anyway. Mm-hmm. And I really think that's a little bit has to do with the cover, because that cover is a badass cover.
Yeah, it was a really odd album to put out in '77.
It was.
Because in the U.S. you had, disco was king.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of your hard rock people like Alice Cooper was just doing a string of ballads.
Yeah.
Kiss had Beth.
Yep.
Which
is absolutely one of my favorite songs ever. It made me used to wish my name was Beth, because it was what a beautiful ballad. But I'm definitely not a Beth.
You're not a Beth.
No, I'm not a Beth. But it's a beautiful song. Yeah. Oh, such a beautiful ballad. So I'm going to talk about, real quick, a little bit about Jim, about Todd, and Ellen, Ellen Foley, who I haven't brought up yet, but the importance of each of those. So Jim Steinman, he's an American composer, lyricist, playwright. He's also a record producer. He has produced, I'm just going to give you like a little snippet real quick, because
get your shots.
Yeah, his production list is ridiculous in length. So anyway, Bonnie Tyler, which we'll come back to that, because Bonnie Tyler
she did a Frankie
Miller song. So Bonnie,
she also did a Paul Stanley song.
Oh, there we go. So Bonnie Tyler, Bruce Springsteen, Celine Dion. Just some other fews.
He co-wrote Sisters of Mercy.
He did. I know.
Then Meatloaf went on later to cover one of those Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah, it's true.
He did a cover of More, and
yes.
You haven't lived until you've heard it. So hit up YouTube and put in Meatloaf More.
Well, Vince and I do always say that everyone's fun is different.
Everyone's fun is different.
You might enjoy that version. We're both huge Sisters fans, yeah. So it was interesting. But I kind of didn't want to put Sisters in this, just because I thought it might get us so far off topic, because we'd want to go and talk about
We've already talked about Truck Nuts.
That's true. That is true. But Sisters. But I didn't put that in his composer, because it was only one song that he produced for Sisters.
Are you sure?
That's what that's just the list that I came up with that had showed. Maybe it was more.
Yeah, you keep hold on.
All right, you look.
You keep
talking. Fact check.
Yeah, I'm gonna fact check.
So anyway, but I just didn't see how Sisters fit in there. But as we go and we do talk about how they did how Meatloaf did cover them. So maybe I should have threw Sisters of Mercy in there. But so anyway, so Jim's career started in the theater world. He originally wrote a futuristic rock version of Peter Pan for a workshop back in 1974. He called this Neverland. And many of the songs that he wrote for that that futuristic rock version of Peter Pan would later turn into some of the songs or wordings in some of the songs for the Bat Out of Hell album, which I think is really kind of funny. But I think that with me saying that, I think that just goes to show or put you in the mindset of how theatrical that it can be for Bat Out of Hell album can be.
You're right. It was just the one. It was just the one song.
Oh, okay. But how theatrical that Bat Out of Hell album can be when you see that Jim did write many of these songs for his
Peter
musical.
Pan.
Yeah. So I really think you can see that.
I mean, I think it even carried over into Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That rock opera or the
there might be a song.
Wagnerian.
Not to jump really far ahead, but I think Bat Out of Hell 3 might have had a Peter Pan song in it, because half of that was...
Well, yes, he did.
Because half of that was Steinman songs, and the other half Desmond Child.
Well, and it did, if we want to talk about the Meatloaf too, because you know that one portion where Steinman's talking in the front, will you give your life to... Yeah. That was part of it.
Okay.
And that was he actually took that and used it for a speaking... a whole speak
TED Talk.
Yeah, kind of like
Jim Steinman TED Talk.
Yes, but a whole spoken word piece that he wrote. So it kind of, a lot of his stuff all interlapped or intertwined to going back.
Inbred.
Yeah, and I later had read I was reading a portion of something online. Let me see if I have who it was. It was from John Hutton, called "To Hell and Back." It was for Classic Rock magazine back in September 2000. He was talking about how actually I didn't write it down, but he was talking about how Jim Steinman always had this idea of never dying, never ending, like Peter Pan thought. Like he always wanted to do something regards to that thinking. So a lot of his stuff is not aging or has this weird twist of the futuristic rock version of Peter Pan in some ways. But anyway, so that's where so Jim had met Meatloaf in the theater world. He actually met him more so specifically while traveling with the National Lampoon show.
Really?
That's where he met, which brings us to...
Ooh, I don't know.
Ellen Foley.
Okay.
Ellen Foley also was in that comedy show.
Okay.
Of the National Lampoon comedy show.
I didn't know she was involved in comedy.
Yeah.
Other than being in the first season of Night Court.
Right, there you go. So Ellen Foley, you may know her. She's the female powerhouse voice behind several of the songs. And Bat Out of Hell, specifically Paradise by the Dashboard Light. That's an amazing song. She has a great voice and a great... what's the word I'm looking for? A great presence on that song. I just love it. I love those two feeding off each other. But anyway, she also was a theater person in the beginning. She had started on the National Lampoon comedy show. She did Broadway, television, which you mentioned real quick, Night Court. That's where I remember her from specifically, was that first season of Night Court.
I remember watching Night Court, and then when I saw her credit in the Meatloaf album, I was like, what?
Yeah. It's funny. But she also is an amazing singer. I mean, we know that.
Yeah,
but
she had a bunch of solo records.
Records that won many awards. and she's still singing and recording now, actually. So, yeah, so that's her. But then we got to bring how we got Todd Rundgren involved. So Todd, he was a producer, musician. He's known for producing such acts as Isley Brothers, XTC, Prince, Hall & Oates.
He produced Prince?
He produced a song with Prince. I don't know how much.
That's interesting.
He did Hall & Oates, which is evidently he did quite a few of Hall & Oates,
really?
And that's the name that I kept looking up. It kept coming up with Hall & Oates, and I would actually have to go and I'm like, he's got to do something more than Hall & Oates. So I saw that he did Isley Brothers and Prince, and he's also known for his band Utopia, which I'm not familiar with much. I know a little bit from the 90s specifically.
I know they've done some reunions over the years.
But other than that, I'm not. But how he became involved with Bat Out of Hell was through a friend, an occasional bandmate named Moogie Klingman. I love that name. Moogie. Love it.
I was feeling a little Moogie the other day.
The Moogie, I love that name. Shout out Moogie. I don't know if you're still around, but I love that name, Moogie Klingman. Basically, Todd even states in one of his stuff that I've read that he said he was producing a lot during that time. He said he was probably producing way too much, that he probably should have backed out of a few projects. But his friend Moogie came up to him and basically put this challenge, was like, one day I'm going to find a band that's good enough for you to produce, and you're going to want to produce them. And hence how we got Meatloaf. He said, and I know that person. And Todd said, okay, because he was already familiar with Meatloaf from seeing him on Broadway. So he was like, you know what, that sounds interesting. And there's a whole other speculation also why he chose to do that. I didn't really go into it a lot. No, nothing to do with cocaine. But the whole, it's another side road, but how that spoof about Bruce Springsteen, which I'm still not familiar with, but how they're saying the word out on the interweb is that they were saying
the
internets, how they were saying that some of the songs because Steinman had wrote some of Bruce Springsteen, Ready to Run, Born to Run.
This
album.
Is the first time
which is funny.
I'd never heard of Steinman working with Springsteen before until you brought this up to me earlier today.
Yeah. And so, and the only reason why I know that now is just because of all the looking on the webs, the interwebs, looking online, and it kept coming up. So I thought that was really interesting.
When we say interwebs and internets, we sound really old.
Oh my God, I know.
Like old people.
We probably do. We probably sound so old.
Is this the Senior Citizen podcast? You're going to talk about some Metamucil and early bird dinners next?
Yep, early bird dinners.
Early bird special. 4 p.m. at Cracker Barrel. So I thought that was really interesting, but they're saying, I guess, because there are some similarities to some of the sound of Born to Run and Bat Out of Hell because of the interwebbing of producers, things like that, and because the one guy from the E Street Band was also who played on was it Max Max Weinberg?
Yes, Max. He was also played on Meatloaf's.
Okay.
So they thought that was anyway. So there was some, I guess, in the musical world there were some issues.
Complete nerd fact.
Ooh, nerd fact.
Pour a shot. No, I'm cutting that out. Max Weinberg's son plays in Slipknot.
Okay, there we go. It's all tied.
So
boop. You just see how it's all, once again,
all interwebbed.
But yeah, so anyway, so Moogie came up with them and said, hey, I know this album that this Meatloaf and Steinman are doing, and he thought that Rundgren would enjoy producing it, and in turn he did. So there's our 4 main players for Bat Out of Hell is Jim, Todd, Ellen, and Meatloaf. That really got that album going. So I wanted to just one more thing. What do I want to talk about?
One more?
Well, a few more.
That's what I thought.
Well, when the album was released, so the album was immediately a great success in Australia and the United Kingdom, but it took a little bit longer for the U.S. to catch the flight. Get it?
Yeah, it's...
No, you don't
great.
like it? I'm sorry. I was really proud of that joke. I even typed it in.
No, do it again.
Okay. The album was immediately a great success in Australia and the United Kingdom, but it took a little longer for the United States to catch the flight. Oh, yeah. Little humor. Anyway.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, that was a horrible one. But...
Not the joke, the laugh hurt. It physically hurt my lungs.
The joke probably hurt some people too, I'm sure. Hey, I never said I was a comedian, but I do try. So I just wanted to take I just took a little excerpt of the words from the first song off the title track off the album, which was like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone when the morning comes, but when the day is done and the sun goes down and the moonlight shining through, then like a sinner before the gates of heaven, I'll come crawling on back to you.
Okay.
I thought that was really interesting.
Because you're doing this look. You were like staring off and like pondering.
I am pondering because some of it I'm like, oh, that's really great, and it all sounds really great. But when you break it down, you're like, so then like a sinner before the gates of heaven, I'll come crawling on back to you. Oh, because the sinner's crawling to the gates.
Yeah. Because
he wants to get in. He's begging, basically.
Yeah,
I got it now.
Steinman's lyrics were like a mix of like being really profound and super campy.
Yeah.
At the same time, like we were listening last night, Objects in the Rearview Mirror.
Yes.
And there's that one line where towards the end of the song where he's like, she used her body just like a bandage and used my body just like a wound.
Yes.
It's like, okay. All right.
And a lot of, I also want to point out how kind of sexually erotic every song on this album is.
Yeah.
You can tell, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Come on, how you get into Paradise? It's not driving there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
But no, I was going to say, at one point, when they're doing the play-by-play.
Yeah.
On, oh my gosh, what song is that?
Paradise.
So they're doing the play-by-play, right? Like a baseball game. Yeah. So evidently the guy who's doing...
Yeah, that was the famous announcer.
Right, the famous announcer.
Yeah, I forget his name.
He decided to do that for the song.
Yeah.
When he read it, because he had never heard the song.
Yeah.
He just did it like it was a normal baseball game, and Todd Rundgren said that he's not sure if he ever did know that was like comparing it to... getting to third base. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, you just see this guy, he's like, I'm getting paid for it, whatever. Yeah. What do you want me to do? I don't need to hear the song. Let me just talk. And I just thought that was really funny, like, because it's so, it's right on that border of being erotic, but, during that time period of the 70s, you still had to be a little bit kind of like the 1950s. You had to be, incognito, especially like, it makes me think of, oh my gosh, Little Richard's.
Yeah.
Wop Bop a Loo Bop.
Yeah.
Is that what the song is called?
I don't know what the song's called, but I know what song you're talking about.
But, which I later learned in life, much later, like a few years ago, that song is about anal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like that. So the 70s, you still had to be really incognito about...
Did you know in the 70s you couldn't show a toilet on American television?
Well, there you go. That's the mindset that people were thinking when these records came out.
Yep, there's people who would love to go back to that today.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a whole other podcast.
But anyway, so that's where, so you have a lot of that underlying... sexual energy in a lot of these songs and a lot of the videos. The videos are mostly just the live performances. But another thing, before they even got this, for Todd to agree to produce the album, they didn't even have a demo, because he said to his friend Moogie, give me their demo tape. Yeah. And he's like, oh, they don't have a demo tape. He's like, they'll come and do it for you live. Yeah. And he said literally that's what happened. It was Meatloaf, Ellen, Foley and Jim, and they all did it live for him, and he was like, okay.
Can you imagine how much of a nightmare it would have been to demo those songs?
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting how they literally came and they're like, it's better if you see it live.
Yeah.
Like, and I can see that because you really do need to see the visionary of the performance.
Yeah.
To get the background on the song, because it's not just a song you listen to. Like when you do hear the music, you are for me anyway, I'm visualizing like this. Almost like an opera, I'm visualizing this whole thing go down.
Whenever I hear this album or any of the songs from it, I always picture Meat from the back cover with a tuxedo.
Yeah.
It's open. He has the red handkerchief.
The red handkerchief on his hand. He was another one with a handkerchief. Still to this day, he would perform with a handkerchief.
Yeah, have to.
He's not doing so well health-wise. Big ups to you. I don't know. I hope you feel better. Yeah.
So... I'm looking at your notes here.
Yeah, so I'm almost done. Oh, do you have something that you wanted to add to my notes?
I'm going to read off your notes in case you don't get to this.
Okay.
Bat Out of Hell, as of 2021, has sold over 34 million copies worldwide and has made Sony Music estimated $125 million.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
That's amazing. It's craziness. It's really crazy. Yeah, but so that just goes to show. Now, when it first came out in '77 and didn't do so well, but like I said, it did well in Australia. And then
critics were never a big fan.
No, they were never a big fan of it.
They don't get it.
They don't.
They accuse a lot of it of not being self-aware.
Yeah.
But it was Jim Steinman was totally self-aware.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't write some of those lyrics about being self-aware.
Yeah. He was definitely he definitely had a great mind for
it was definitely
writing.
a wink and a nod when he wrote some of these lyrics.
Oh yeah.
You don't come up that play-by-play in
right.
the middle of Paradise about being clued in to the camp of it.
Exactly. But yeah, I think he's written many things. I mean, you can look up his things online and just see the plethora of stuff that he wrote and wrote for. But just so when it was re-released and what was it? Oh, now I lost my notes. Anyway, it was re-released I think in '78, and then it did better than the original release in '77. But there's a lot that came after Bat Out of Hell, and that's where I'm gonna kind of end it. But before I got there, I thought there were some descriptions, quotes from Jim Steinman, Meat Loaf, and Ellen Foley when they were to describe the album in a sentence, and I thought they were pretty cool. So Jim Steinman said, "I describe it as a feverish, strong, romantic, violent, rebellious, fun, and heroic."
Okay.
Thought that was true, right? I can see that. Meat Loaf stated, "I think Bat Out of Hell is more real than 95% of the records ever made."
Whoa.
Right? We know Meat Loaf's he's got a big personality. That was pretty bold. I thought that was quite interesting. It just goes with how I talked about how, he was just a big guy from birth on. He was just this big dude, big personality, big voice, big everything. And I just thought that was really big of him to state that. This I really liked because I don't know, us women, we're quite emotional, but I really liked what Ellen Foley said. She stated, "There are just some things that touch an emotional core that I think people are going to want to listen to for a long time. And this record is one of them." Mm-hmm. I think that goes today. We were listening to it last night. It's a great album. Like, it's good today. I mean, like, we even listened to, what was it, from part 2, Bat Out of Hell?
Bat Out of Hell 2.
And that one, I said, it almost sounds a little dated because of the saxophone
solo, yeah.
But you can listen to the, Bat Out of Hell, and I'm like, this is a timeless album.
And in between the first two Bats, Meat Loaf continued to record. I mean, he maintained a level of success in the UK, but not in the US. Mm-mm. I mean, they were varying quality albums until him and Jim got back together in the 90s for Bat Out of Hell, Back in the Hell.
Yeah.
which sold a bagillion copies.
Bagillion.
It's a good record.
It's a mathematical term. Look it up.
And then Meat did some Steinman-less albums, and then they didn't do as well. Then he did Bat Out of Hell 3, which is a half Jim Steinman record. It was produced by Desmond Child. Another half of it was written by Desmond and like people like Nikki Sixx and Motley Crue, and other half was like Steinman songs, which apparently Steinman wasn't too happy about. But
wow.
And then they had that Meat and Jim had that big falling out, but before Jim's death, they had reconciled,
yeah.
And they did an album together.
Album.
They did that Braver Than We Are, which is not only the final Meatloaf Steinman album,
it's
the final Meatloaf album and the final Jim Steinman album, because Meat has all the health issues, and
Jim did too, and didn't make
Jim
it.
Passed.
Yep. But I wanted to suggest a few little notes that I had about after Bat Out of Hell. Rolling Stone ranks the album, as number 343 on its list of the 500 greatest albums of all times.
I have a problem with lists.
I know, but I mean, I kind of like them because I'm like, of all times, that's a lot of albums.
I know. Lists are really subjective, though.
They are subjective, but when I think of all times, I'm thinking they're touching all genres. But I don't know what the list was. I don't know who made it up. It could be the same as the Grammys, a whole bunch of a-holes and stuffy coats all sitting around.
You were going to say stuffy white people?
I was going to say stuffy white coats. Thank you. I was not going to say
doctors.
Yeah,
bunch of doctors at the Grammys and Rolling Stone picked the top albums.
That's why I changed it. I was like a stuffy coat.
Stuffy white coats. How dare you tell me?
How dare you, doctors?
How dare you tell me
what I listen to? But anyway, so the magic of the first album brought us two more albums, creating the trilogy of the Steinman Meatloaf production, which we Meatloaf. You had Bat Out of Hell 1, or it's just Bat Out of Hell. But Bat Out of Hell 2, Back Into Hell in 93. Then you had Bat Out of Hell 3, The Monster Is Loose, and that came out in 2006. There was also, which I wish I would have known, because I would have been like front row ticket holder, back in 2017, in the Manchester Opera House, there was a musical based on Bat Out of Hell. It was staged by Jay Scheib, opened it. It ran for 2 years in 2019 over in the UK and in Toronto in Canada. And there was plans for it to run in Germany and the US. I'm not sure if it ran in Germany at all, but in the US, it had a few performances, but it was quickly canceled, which that's kind of a bummer. I don't know why it was canceled, but it was canceled. That's just sad to me because I think it would make a fantastic Broadway show, considering the theatrical background that it's based in and the songs
you
can
make a musical out of Green Day's American Idiot, you can do Bat Out of Hell.
There you go. But anyway, so if anybody wants to redo that,
you'll buy a ticket.
I'll buy a ticket. Thank you. Yeah, I'll help with like running wardrobe changes.
What?
Yeah, I'll work in the back. I'll even help work in the back.
You sell tickets too?
I'll sell tickets.
You sell a ticket booth?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Handle the social media?
Social media, whatever. Okay. Do a podcast.
Yeah.
But I wanted to end my segment with this quote. I know I said I had quotes from everybody. I had another quote from Max Weinberg.
Okay.
And I think that he said it best when he said, I think Bat Out of Hell will probably last forever. True. I agree. So check it out, everyone. And that's my spiel.
That's your treasure from the bargain bin.
That is my treasure, and it's from the bargain bin, which it's in fantastic shape for it to be in the dollar bin.
Yeah.
It was great. But that's it for our first episode and in our comparisons of our treasures.
We were saying earlier, connect the two albums.
Right.
And so, the one connection is that Bonnie Tyler had a hit with a Frankie Miller song, and then Bonnie Tyler also worked with Jim Steinman.
Correct.
So there's one connection. And the other connection is that Jack Douglas, who produced Frankie Miller's Double Trouble, worked with Aerosmith, and Aerosmith worked with Desmond Child, who worked with Meatloaf on Bat Out of Hell 3.
There you go.
So, yeah.
It's all interlooped.
And if you've been playing the drinking game, You've passed out by now and haven't finished your podcast.
Just finished in the morning.
Yeah.
And then tell all your friends about it. And
Yeah.
please, I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stick around. Listen to our next one. I mean, this is our first one, so be kind. I'm sure we're going to have to shorten it because we're chatters. We like to talk. This is what we do. And that's why I think the podcast world is perfect for us.
And before we finish up here, remember to like, subscribe, follow us, depending on whichever platform you listen to us on. Check us out on Instagram at Bittersweet and Twisted, Facebook at Bittersweet and Twisted Records. Don't bother with TikTok. You can buy some record CDs, shirts, all that fun stuff from us at bittersweetandtwistedrecords.com. You can buy podcast merch with our really awesome kick-ass logo at our TeePublic store, which will be linked on our Instagram and on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our Spotify playlist with music from every artist we've name dropped here today. That will be linked up again on our YouTube and our Instagram. And thank you for spending the 5 hours with us.
Thank you.
And so, like, subscribe, follow, share.
Yes.
And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.